Professional wrestling is broken down into moments. And these moments define eras. And these eras have extremely pivotal years. The PWR discuss these pivotal, generational, and era-defining moments as they discuss this year in pro wrestling history.
What is going on there, Reflectionites? What is going on there to the Vetoites, the Haminites, and the probationary solitary confinement PWCites? What is going on to all the ites all over the world? It's been a week. You know, we're on a little bit of a hiatus. It was a birthday hiatus for the professor, so, you know, celebratory mood, celebrating 49 years on this planet Earth, or, you know, if MAGA has its way, it's going to be Planet United States, or the way it's looking like in The Boys. Remember TW with the Amazon Prime Video?
I stopped watching The Boys when season 2 was just a big fuck you to President Trump. I watch TV shows and listen to music and do things to avoid the drudges of real life. So once it became that, I was like, I'm out. Even though that one dude joined in season 3, I like that guy, the guy from
You're missing good 4 seasons plus the.
I think I started season 3. Isn't season 3 where that dude goes inside your butthole or your pee hole in the first episode, and then he sneezes and then he blows up?
Dude, that's almost every season. Someone goes up in the crack of your butt.
No, like the very first episode, it was all over the media because there was 2 gay dudes at a party.
Yeah, it was an orgy. I don't know if it was season 3. It might have been season 4, but you know, again, neither here nor there. But you know,
maybe season 3 was the season that was the everything TDS.
You know,
even if I was like the people who have obviously either super lives that all they have to worry about in the world is President Trump, or that their life sucks so bad that they just gotta blame it on President. Even if I was one of those 2 people, I still wouldn't want to watch a TV show that brought him up to me every damn episode. I just escape from reality. That's all I'm asking for. Like Queen said.
Well, you know what? There's escape from reality, but there's also accentuating the reality that you have and embellishing shit. That's all it is. It's like what you and I watch. We watch wrestling. It is.
Life that I can spend every day waking up wondering what I'm going to be mad about.
You and I. Wait a minute. Since you say escape from reality, we have watched wrestling for 4+ decades. It's not an escape from reality. Sometimes you have to use the pillars of reality too. Sometimes you have to bring it in, whether it's patriotic, whether it's
not stuff that's divisive. I want like a Coke and a smile, man. I want you know it was an awesome show, and I hope you've watched it. But if you didn't, you should watch it. And unfortunately, it's over, so you can't vote. But if you just
Dallas
watch it, is the Kevin Hart funny AF? It's great. It's phenomenal. And then last night was the live roast of Kevin Hart. So I haven't watched that yet.
I haven't watched that yet either. But you know what? Neither here nor there. Let me at least get the introduction out of the way, because again, it's been a week.
By the way, time out. Before someone does watch and go, what the hell? A couple of the episodes, the topic had to be whatever is current events. So every comedian, of course, bashed Trump because it's Hollywood. So of course, no one's gonna praise him. But that did, and to me was also the least funny episode of them. A couple guys had a couple funny jokes. I liked the one guy because he made it funny. It wasn't bitter, and the rest of them were just like low-hanging fruit jokes. But again, they had to do it on the spot. It wasn't their normal jokes, so I got past it.
But you know what? If we hone in on our ideologies, nothing on the other side will either be funny or either be stupid. So, as me being as centrist as I am, I can find humor in both ideologies, because both ideologies is fucking criminal. But anyway, let's get on with the introductions here, because again,
both ideologies have good and bad. it's just the fact that one side thinks the other side is all bad and vice versa. That's what's stupid about it.
And that's divisive. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
That's the bad thing.
I think
just
I
like wrestling.
I need to say this for our 62 followers.
No, 169 subscribers. Get it right.
169. I believe the people actually doing stuff, not the people that go on the internet and bitch about no matter what the subject is. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about the do-nothings. I'm not talking about the Cheeto dicks that live in the basement and thinks everything should be free while they chase their dream of being a
We're not even talking about AEW people. Come on, man. It's not about AEW right now.
But I want everyone to know that I still, somehow, it's losing a little bit of ground every day. I still believe in people. I still believe most people are good. And I still believe that most of us want the same thing. And the divisive point of it is, the divisive point of it is we all disagree on how to get there. But I think if people focused on the fact that we want the same things instead of basically picking a lightning rod thing that you're either going to be on it or against.
Here's a better way. Here's a better analogy for all the Reflectionites, for the 169, and for all across the world, the Josh Flobergs, the Chris Winlands, and all that stuff, the Greenpeaces, the Gooches, whatever political aisle you want. I don't care right now, but TW will love this. Both sides, TW, has a little bit of Anakin Skywalker. There's a little bit of a dark side in there. And then eventually, you find the light. There is good in you. Is that better? Sometimes you got to go into the dark, do some horrible shit, think some horrible shit, and get to the light.
I'll agree to it with one caveat. I think we all have a little dark. I think we're all narcissists and we're all empaths, depending on who you ask, right? So what I think is there are people on both sides with darkness, and there are people in that darkness side that are stronger than that darkness, and then there's people who just aren't, and the darkness wins. How's that? That's on both sides.
Yeah, that's why I said both sides are Anakins that turn into Vader, but then there is good in them, and they just have to get it out.
Right, like Fetterman. He's finally coming to the good side. But I want to, before you get going, because every time I try to show you stuff that I recently purchased, I had a good week this week, man.
Of purchasing?
Yeah. So this one.
Wait. Before you do that, let me just do the introductions first, and then get into okay?
We got going right away. I forgot about
that. We just got into a diatribe. I was just trying to introduce people, and then you're like, oh wait, hold up. This is not the way. But it's always one side's fault. But anyway, let me get into my spiel here, because again, it's been a week. I am the studious one, I am the effervescent one, but most importantly, I am the glorious one. The only objective man, and that is true right now, the only objective man in this IWC, YWC, PWC punditry, the only objective man in this Twitterverse, the only objective man in this political hemisphere, the ultimate centrist, your friend of mine, the Professor Chabelle Cruz. And I'm never here alone. No. I'm here with my brother from another mother, the conservative, liberal conservative, the solo idiot, Dr. Freaking Stein, the iron stomach one, and the most intellectually sound toy collector out there, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world, Tommy Wonder. And now you can get onto your purchase power of all your figures.
I gotta say,
the reason
I grab this belt every time because it's clearly US, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to take the scratch logo WWE belt upside down from Michigan, even though you always say Detroit. I have to say, if you saw this in person, you would be like, "Whoa! Did someone make this in grade 7 metal shop class?" Because it's not very well crafted. However,
it's not well crafted. What are you talking about? That is a pillar. That's one of the best.
I'm telling you, no. The belt is beautiful. This version of it is not well crafted. Look at the top. See right here how this goes up, and it's thicker over there than it is over here. It's not centered right. This stuff, but this belt, if you see it, this is like it is on TV, where you can lay it flat, right? Mm-hmm. But this thing, every time I hold it up on this iPad, it looks so awesome when I'm looking back at it. And it reminds me of when Lex had it, when Magnum TA had it, when Nikita Koloff had it. Whereas this belt is permanently like that. It's not relaxed. It doesn't, you know what I mean?
Because you're supposed to put it over your arms and on the shoulders.
But you can do that with the other one too, or you just lay it on your shoulder with the strap behind you. But this one, it also looks good. And this is the one, look at that. Look at that shininess. They all look great. But I just really, really love that U.S. title. Over there,
let me just say this, since we're nostalgic reflection, the way you was holding the U.S. belt and how you like it as flat, I understand where you're coming from, because the best person who ever held the belt flat, it's not that belt. It was Nick Bockwinkel and the big ass AWA World Heavyweight title, because he used to do that in his interviews, held it so flat, close to his heart, close to his chest. And with him and Bobby Heenan, with Mean Gene, interview him, he held it the way you're talking about it, like that.
Yeah, I loved it. And then I still need to get me, I'm kind of on the fence on, because I have the World Television Championship as well, the red one. And I have the NWA World Tag Team titles also made famous by Tully. But I don't know if I want the 10 pounds of gold or if I want the big gold belt. And if I get the big gold belt, I'm not going to get it from WWE because it's going to have some kind of WWF logo on it. I want the one that Flair had, is burgundy with the red gems in it. I want one like that. But I think I like the 10 pounds better. I think it's a better looking belt. But
get it via Billy Corgan. You'll get it.
Yeah, well, Billy Corgan's going to charge $700. I'll get it off eBay for $99 from Pakistan. Okay. So I have every Adam Cole figure in WWE, and I have everyone, including Chase's. You know what that means? Where they every now and again it's a different outfit than the one that everyone else has. Like I have all his AEWs, including the Owen Hart Championship one. I have the one I don't have. So if anybody, my birthday's coming up, is I don't have the MJF Adam Cole Best Friends 2-pack, right? I probably, but AEW, if you haven't known, is their action figure deal is completely kaput. Whatever they announced, once that stuff comes out, it is no more. No one's probably
I think Jazz wears laid off everybody, or just
the whole department for AEW got laid off. But they already designed them and they're already in production. The people making them over in China are not part of that. It's the actual talent. But they also every now and again will release, and I have my first one I ever found, I believe. Yeah, it's the first one I ever found, was Danhausen, one of 3,000. It's a different version. So he's over there. He's over there on my AEW wall that you don't see because it's right by the furnace, because it's right by the exit door, by the alley dumpster.
Let it melt.
But I got the Adam Cole with the Owen Hart belt. I got Samoa Joe. I got Darby Allin. Shocking. I got, what's that other dude? Sammy Guevara, because Target had exclusive red packaging with the TNT title, so I have those. And then I have Daniel Bryan. It's like a pay-per-view thing also. But I'm
waiting for the sarcastic joke from you from AEW collecting. Like, you got the 100.
It's close to the dumpster in the alley.
No. I'm waiting for the $1.99 clearance sale or something. I'm just waiting for that.
That's where I got. That's where I got Julia Hart, and that.
I knew they
were $3.99 at Ollie's or Ross's.
There you go. I knew I was waiting for the price.
I have Tony Storm, but anyway, I got Britt Baker Owen Hart Championship, but I have the Sting that's 1 of 500 from Jazzware's website, but I can't see the guy's name. One of those dudes that was part of what's the guy? I feel horrible that Brody Lee. What was this called? The Order or whatever they were called.
Dark Order. The guy, I don't think he was part of a tag team, but he looks like one of the grizzled young vets. Long hair with a beard. What's that guy's name? Alan Angels, I think.
No, not him.
The bald one, the short one
with hair. Not Stu Grimson, the other one with hair. He almost looks like Chuck Norris.
Oh, I forget his name.
Anyway, I got him 1 of 3,000 or 1 of 5,000. Danhausen 1 of 3,000. I found Jay Briscoe, one of 5,000 as a referee, and I found that stupid the guy I like the least of all AEW wrestlers, the Shield. What's his name? Ambrose, Dean Ambrose. I got one of his, one of 3,000. So I ordered this off eBay because it's an Adam Cole. It's the only one I didn't have. One of 5,000 Adam Cole. I think I have that shirt too, even though he's probably done. I still love him. So I got that. But if you look behind me, you probably can't see right here. Yeah, 1989 Ultimate Warrior LJN figure. Never found it. It was only in Canada. By then, I probably wasn't really buying wrestling figures anymore because they weren't in the stores. Plus, I was trying to hook up with girls, but I still had all the other ones. My buddy Jeff in Canada, still fighting that cancer battle. So people praying for him, keep praying for him. He's doing good. That Ultimate he just gave to me. It's worth $350. Buy open. If you find one in the package, it's worth about $5,000. He also gave me Bret the Hitman Hart, and then I have my buddy Al and my buddy Sean. Between them, I think Al gave me 3: Iron Sheik, Hogan, and Andre, and then Sean gave me Colt Kirshner. But my buddy Chris found this. These are the new versions. Jesse the Body. I think I showed this on here before. Logan Paul, Cena, Hulk Hogan, and Dusty Rhodes. This is Series 2. There's all the guys on the back.
Nice.
But
that's the new one that just came out with that and Logan Paul and Dusty Rhodes, right?
Well, Logan's 6 months ago. These are the new ones. I can't find them in a store. Finally, last week, I found Jesse. I found Bundy. I found Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I had already gotten Austin and Jesse from Canada because my buddy Chris Valentino found them for me. There's Stone Cold. And then the other day, I went to go to the Target by my work because I knew they had 3 of them because I got stoked because I saw them, and of course there was no Warrior. So I go back because Jeff said he wants all the ones on black cards. And then I said, if I do find a Warrior, I'm going to have to get Bundy. I can't not get Bundy if I'm going to have the other 3 plus the other 4. So I walk in, and this looks exactly like it did back in 89. Well, he was probably 87, 86. But the reason I have that...
He was 85, 86.
Yeah, but the reason I have that King Kong Bundy is because I walked into that store that I knew had 3. They had Bundy, they had Jesse, they had Austin. All on blue cards. I went there to find Jeff a black card, and what's the first thing I see on the rack? The Warrior. And I just talked to a guy, a wrestling friend of mine. He wrestled too. He paid $50-something for this on eBay. They're $24.99. I said to him, dude, let me ask you what you paid. He goes, $50. I go, listen, dude. I said, I'm not doing it. I said, if it's meant to be, I'll find them in the wild. If not, I got the one from 89 that Jeff gave me as a gift. That's good enough. And then the very next day, I go to that Auburn Hills by my work, and the one that only had 3, all of a sudden now had 4, which means some asshole returned it because it wasn't going for high enough on eBay for him, or somebody hid it in the back and someone found it and put it out on the rack. But I got it. Now I got all 4. The next series comes out in July. Piper, I got to have that. A Rock, which didn't exist, but they made him doing this, and he comes with the winged eagle or the big belt. I can't remember, the big eagle. Also,
and the moral of the story, because we got to get on with the show. You know this.
I know, but I was happy. Oh, but
you're right. Come on, we got to do the show.
Last one. Okay. I think I showed you these a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, you showed that.
And I said I'm not opening them
when they went into the Hall of Fame.
But I said I'm not opening them and said the Freebird rule, and I got crushed. So now I got all 3. So now I'm gonna open them.
Okay.
That's it. That's all the stuff I bought.
Are we sure that's it?
I'll be sure.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure, because you always say I go on a little bit too quickly, and then I don't give you the time. I gave you enough time, Reflectionites. You hear this? I give him enough time. Oh, I heard that. Oh,
Charles Robinson has his arms. Remember, I opened him up on the show because my good man Eddie. I paid $40 for this. They're normally $26. So I did spend a little more on Eddie.
Okay, now we gotta get on with the show. Okay, that's it.
Show going on with the show.
Okay, now we gotta go on the show, because now, since it's been a week, I let you ramble on for a little bit. Now we gotta go on with the show, and now we gotta go with a spotlight edition. Alexi Alex Ovechkin, I got you. Now we got to go on with the show, Reflectionites. Now we got to do our spotlight. And of course, we're going to do the episodes that Big Ray, executive producer extraordinaire, wanted us to do a lot of. So we're back on it. It's been a while. But now we got to talk about the year in pro wrestling, Reflectionites. And we're going to talk about, I don't know if we want to call this a transitional year in the making, but this was a very monumental year in the making in professional wrestling, Reflectionites. And I don't think a lot of people, and this is not about crossover, this is not about mainstream TW, but 1994 is a very prevalent year in a lot of in a couple of organizations, especially in North America, because they chose a direction, they chose a path for their companies to go into. So with that being said, Reflectionites, we're going to start with the WWE or WWF in 1994. So TW in 1994, they made the conscious effort to say, fuck Macho Man, fuck Hulk Hogan, fuck Ultimate Warrior, fuck everybody from the 80s. We got to move on. This is the 90s. We got to move on to the new millennium and all that stuff. In 1994, they taglined themselves the year of the new generation. And that new generation was led by, they had a pillar of people to lead the new generation, quote unquote. That Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Diesel. Those were the pillar four. Oh. And of course, you can't forget Undertaker. He's part of that.
Owen.
No, Owen wasn't there just yet. He was starting, but
that's his year. This is Owen's year.
No, I got you. I'm just saying it was his year, but the five pillars of the new generation was Undertaker, Hart, HBK, Diesel, and Razor Ramon. They were leading the charge for WWF in that span because, again, they had to get away from Hulk Hogan. They had to get away from Macho Man. And, of course, with Macho Man, this was his last run in WWF because he did not want to be a commentator anymore. He did not want to have one match every 6 months. And then we'll talk about him in the WCW taglines, Reflectionites, in a couple of minutes. But TW, with that being said, you've always said on this episode, and you probably said this on Twitter a lot, we always know that 1993 and 1994 was a bad business. The business was slow. The business was a little bit down, not only for WWF, but also for WCW and all that stuff. Again, logistically, that's factual.
It was a valley.
It was it peaks and valleys, but that valley they dipped a little low there. But TW, what say you about 1994 in WWF terms? Because again, they made that conscious decision. And again, hindsight's 2020, but again, you talk about that peaks and valleys. They had to go low before a couple of years later, the Attitude Era was born, and then they had the core that they had with Austin and The Rock. But they thought that the new generation was going to elevate them from that valley low to the mountaintop. What say you about 1994?
So I think what happened is, and I've said this many times on here, I still think at the end of every day, I think what's different now is you have generations to go on. But at the end of every day, I think you eventually we all age out of wrestling, right? And for whatever reason, the Attitude Era changed that to where now adults openly watch wrestling and they talk about it and they don't, there's no shame in it. There are celebrities involved in it. It's hip. It's cool. Back then, it wasn't. And I think what happened was around 93, 94 is people aged out, like guys like us who've been watching since 84, 85, 86. It was a combination of two things. One, you just, we're starting, we've hit puberty. We're looking at other stuff. We're probably watching football now and hockey and baseball, and we're chasing girls, and we might even be playing a sport in school, or you were probably in Glee Club or something. But you're doing all this stuff.
Hell no.
And so what happens is I think this is the year that they realized, the people that have been watching us don't like this. We got to change. And it took them 2 years. And in 96, they changed it to keep the fan, right? Like to keep you and me watching. Like it was edgy, whatever. And then eventually, even then, people graduate college, or people got together for Monday Night Raw and Nitro, and then they graduate college, and so eventually there's a great reset, and it's the attitude era, or not what do you call it? The
new generation,
ruthless aggression. I'm talking about
well, that's the 2000s.
But I'm saying that was the great reset, was the ruthless aggression, which was probably more like 93, 94 than it even remotely is the Attitude Era or the Golden Era, right? It's that tweener area where that's
debatable, but I understand where you're going with it.
Right. Oh, trust me, they have low moments in the toothless aggression era. Benoit and all that. But what I'm saying is, in 93, 94, they're losing more fans than they're bringing in because people have aged out of it, right? And also the steroid scandal. So on top of the fact that you're losing people, you're and I think McMahon's biggest problem was he's trying to go with smaller guys, but he doesn't buy it himself, so he keeps a Diesel and an Undertaker in the background. So guys like Brett, Shawn, I say Razor's a little bit bigger than Brett and Shawn, but he's not a monster like Hogan, Diesel, and Undertaker. But he's never really fully committed to giving guys like Brett and Shawn the ball and letting them run with it. And he pulls it from them and gives it to Yokozuna, who's an 80s cartoon character. You know what I mean? Yokozuna would have fit in any generation, right? He could have been the heel getting fed to Hogan in the 80s. He could have been an attitude adjustment guy when he had the beard. He was with Owen. He could have been the new generation if he was still with us. But he was another. And also they went back to Hogan in 93 after Brett lost to Yoko. And then they take it away from Brett again and give it to Diesel. And then they bypass Diesel by
wait. Hold on. Now you're jumping a little bit. So I'm going to keep it.
What I'm saying
I'm going to keep it even. Let me keep it even keel, and then you'll go with it. Let me just go with this. 94, I already said the 5 names. They're the pillars of the new generation.
Right.
We'll start with Bret Hart because, again, Bret Hart was, I will call him the constant of WWF.
Yeah.
He is reliable for doing the job. He's reliable for, giving you the best match of the night. He can make a 5-star match with a broomstick. Everybody knows this. Right. So in the 1994 calendar year, TW, we cannot deny he had some great matches with his brother Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. He made Diesel look like Will Ospreay in 1994 in King of the Ring. He had a very emotional feud with Bob Backlund because when Bob Backlund turned heel, he made Bob Backlund in his 40s look like he was Bob Backlund, from like a 24-year-old Bob Backlund. So Bret Hart was the constant. Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels, we can't forget the ladder match. It kind of took wrestling to the next level. Because of WrestleMania 10, the ladder match was introduced to the masses of the wrestling world. I'm not saying for mainstream, it was introduced to the masses. Even though ladder matches were happening in the 80s and in the Southern wrestling territories.
Bret brought it to WWE and they hosed them.
Well, like I said, it was house shows. But again, it was WrestleMania 10
Coliseum home video. Most unusual
brought it to the forefront. That's what I'm just saying. And all that stuff. We got introduced to Big Daddy Cool Diesel because WCW's fumble was WWF's gain and all that stuff. So I'm just trying to give you the logistics before you go on tangents here and there and everywhere. So there you go, TW, with all that. Because again, you love Owen Hart, the King of Hearts, Owen Hart. This was his year. This was his coming out party, but he needed a dance partner, and that was his brother, Bret Hart. What say you?
I love everything about Owen Hart's 94. I love the slow heel turn, the final turn, everything about it. If we're being objective, like the professor supposedly is, even though he's a liberal, if we are, Owen is the good guy in the whole story. He finally snaps when Bret won't tag out hurt. So he finally had enough, right? And he's sick of being in his brother's shadow. He's sick of this. And so Owen, everything about Owen is beautifully done. And then the fact, could you imagine, if we're being honest with ourselves, do you think if the business wasn't where it was, it's almost a blessing, right? Because, the greatest thing that happened in 1994 was them putting that belt on Diesel and going on to have the worst business year they've ever had ever. I love it because that guy still thinks he's more important than he ever was. But because of the business being what it was, struggling, we got to see Brett, we got to see Owen, and we got to see Sean and Razor at, just stealing shows, just absolute. You got even Jeff Jarrett and 1-2-3 Kid, all these workers, basically the IC mid-card belt guys are now the main guys, but we still got Diesel and Undertaker lurking in the background. I get that.
What you're saying in layman's terms, what you're saying in layman's terms was it was the year the work rate for WWF in 1994, because you can't forget that standout match between Bret Hart and the 1-2-3 Kid on Monday Night Raw.
That's what I was going to ask you. Was Monday Night Raw debuted in 94 or 93?
93.
Yeah, that's so. Because of all this stuff, we're getting more opportunities for guys to shine, right? And I don't know about you, but when I would go to school, I would tell people, "Oh, you got to watch this match because it's going to be a clinic." I didn't tell them to watch a fucking bull rope match between Stan Hansen and Lex Luger. I told them to watch Jushin Thunder Liger versus Pillman. I told them to watch Steamboat versus Flair. I told them to watch Brett versus Owen, Brett versus Shawn. I didn't tell them to watch Hogan versus Bundy. Those were nothing that's going to make you feel like you saw a clinic, right? So, Owen, do you think any other time, just think about this, do you think any other time before 94 or after, Owen Hart, who's basically to Vince a favorite of Brett to be there in the first place, right? He's the blue blazer, he's high energy, he's the new foundation, he's all this stuff. Then he finally turns heel and he's absolutely gold, right? 1 year after Brett won King of the Ring, Owen got to win King of the Ring and call himself King of Hearts, which, by the way, is to me the best use of winning King of the Ring rename. Macho King, dumb. Bret Hart was just King of the Ring. I can't remember everybody else, but the King of Hearts, because A, it sounded awesome. B, he's saying I'm the best of all the Hearts, right? Even though his brother just won it the year before and wasn't in it that year. He got that chance because the business was down. If it wasn't, he's losing in the first round of that tournament every year if he's in it at all. And so it's a blessing that the business is where it's at. And, Hogan didn't revive it. Yokozuna didn't revive it. Diesel made it worse. Bob Backlund, he's ungradable. It's 3 days. You can't really judge it, right? And he lost at a house show. So it's like you can't even see if he drew the 1 month that he was heel for In Your House, right? But it's such what I'm trying to say. 1994 takes a lot of shit. It just gets piled on. 93 is that when we got all the TL Hoppers and all those guys? Was 93?
93, 94, 95. TL Hoppers.
But I mean the origin. Boom. They just dropped like 17 of them at once.
It started in 93, 94, 95. That's the bulk of it with the TL Hoppers, the Yankums, the Goons, and shit like that.
So it gets a lot of heat, and some of it deserves it, right? But what do most people say arguably is the greatest WrestleMania of all times? The one in that year right there, 1994, WrestleMania 10. Shawn and Razor, Owen and Brett.
The greatest matches are taken from those two, from 94.
Right, but those people love that WrestleMania. Or is it WrestleMania 2000?
WrestleMania 17 and WrestleMania 3 are almost the revered wrestling of the whole card.
I was at WrestleMania 3. I would not even. It was awesome, but it is not the best.
I'm saying 17 and 3 is 17? The most popular. 17 is Rock and Austin in the Astrodome.
And then, but I mean, what is the other match? WrestleMania 10 is just for me. I get you. I'm just saying, but 94 is remembered for those two matches. It's still remembered to this day. Dude, there's first of all, there's Shawn and Razor. There's Brett and Owen, regular Brett and Owen steel cage. There's
that's SummerSlam in 94.
Yeah, but same year.
But there's a bad part of this because again, while we're talking about the pillars of the new generation, you said something that remember you're trying to forget something in history too. There's certain things that make you turn off.
Oh yeah, WWF. Crush versus Macho Man in a anything goes match.
Well, that's something you could go to the bathroom or make a sandwich. But I'm talking about even in '94, Undertaker versus the fake Undertaker, which was primetime Brian Lee. So again, while they're trying to get us into the new millennium, if we Reflectionites, Vince McMahon is still stuck on stupid with these gimmicks. Undertaker, the real Undertaker is great, but when you had the fake Undertaker, it was insulting your intelligence. We talked about, like you said, the TL Hoppers, the Dr. Isaac Yankums, the Goon, the Manifestos, and shit like that. Those dumbass characters,
right?
Again,
but that was him trying to get kids again. The problem is, if no one's watching it, who's showing their kids?
You know why? But you know why those kids weren't into it? Because of the Game Boys, because of Sega Genesis. Like you said, they're going to be on baseball teams, basketball teams, football
No.
teams.
I'm talking about first, second, third graders. I'm talking about how old we were when we started.
But I'm gonna say, first and second graders in the 90s had better gaming systems, had better options. And again, cable was now in its phoenix. You had options not even to watch wrestling. That's the thing. Vince McMahon was stuck on stupid with a formula that worked in the 80s.
I will say that though. I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. Go ahead.
But let me say my diatribe. He was stuck on stupid with the formula that works in the 80s, but he forgot to adapt with what's going on in the 90s with stuff. Even something simplistic as MTV, TW. Remember, kids right now are watching, well, kids back then were watching MTV for the Real World, for the videos and shit like that. So even the young kids were not the same young kids as the 80s. That's what I'm trying to say. Go ahead, TW.
So Isaac Yankem, terrible. All these pun names, like I'm okay with alliteration names, like Stunning Steve, all that stuff. But Isaac Yankem, IRS is a fucking terrible one. Irvin R. Shyster, it's terrible. It survived somehow because the guy behind it embraced it and ran with it. Terry Taylor, you should have done the same. But all that stuff. The fake Undertaker, I disagree. I think it's very underrated. I remember thinking to myself, 94, I'm 21 years old, looking at it going, I know that's not him, but holy shit, that's pretty good. And once I found out it was primetime Brian Lee, I'm like, what? Like, what a good job they did. And everyone said he's smaller. He says, also,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The only way I would disagree with that is, remember, as intriguing as you're saying the fake Undertaker story was,
right?
Remember SummerSlam. I can't forget this. Leslie Nielsen is looking for the Undertaker.
Right.
They had vignettes of Leslie Nielsen. I love
that's
Police
him
Squad.
trying to incorporate real world shit in there. It's I think that's looked at fondly better now than it was looked at when
the nostalgia. I love Leslie Nielsen, but at like your age and my age, you're 21, I'm 17. The shit was stupid. We have to admit that.
But what I'm saying is, there's my biggest point. Take the fake Undertaker, and I'm going to tell you why it's better than you realize. Because the fake Diesel and the fake Razor Ramon were them trying to keep the gimmicks. Like I bet Vince really thought, well, if these guys get over, we're just going to have Razor and Diesel again, right? But it was desperation because they were fucking sucking, right? Not them, the company. They really still had Undertaker. So it was all a build to Undertaker versus Undertaker, right? It was not. And if you think about it, Kane, a couple years later, it's the same thing. It's just it's his brother instead of a fake Undertaker, right? And until Brian Lee stood in the ring with the Undertaker and was dwarfed, you didn't realize how much smaller he was, but people said it. And what happened 2 years earlier, or 3 years earlier, whatever year it was, when the Warrior came out to save Hogan from Sid and Papa Shango, everyone's like, that's not the real world. He's small. He's this, he's that, and the other thing. And here we are doing this on purpose. But that's why I like it. It was always meant for the Undertaker to come back. It's almost like, I would think, and this gives credence to what you said about they pulling the wool over someone's eyes. I don't think that's what they were doing because they had him as a heel, not a babyface. They probably were like, shit, man, business is down and Taker's not ready to come. We got to bring another Taker in just to buy time until the real one comes back. But knowing all along the real one was coming back. And I think 2 years later, the fake Diesel, the fake Macho Man, the fake Hogan, the fake Ted Turner or Teddy DiBiase, and the fake Razor,
the Huckster and the Nacho Man. That's all.
That was just an embarrassment to the business. It's just it was so. It's like I always say, you don't see a Burger King and a McDonald's commercial, but you'll see the Arches in a Burger King commercial, because number one never gives number two free publicity, and the WWE was showing the world they were not number one with that Diesel and Razor Ramon and Huckster and Macho Man, all that.
Yeah.
All that stuff was terrible. Undertaker, I disagree, but Yankum, Goon, didn't the fucking Smoking Guns come out in that same area around then? The Godwins, some of them rose above it, some of them sank like the turds they were going down the toilet,
and
that's unforgivable.
And we cannot forget, for WWF purposes, Reflectionites, in '94, because the business was down, Vince McMahon was in the trial of his life, because again, that's when the steroid trial came to a conclusion, if you will, TW, where he was found not guilty of all charges. The government thought that Terry Bollea, aka Hulk Hogan, was going to be the star witness, and Terry Bollea didn't throw Vince McMahon under the bus and shit like that. So he beat the charges, but again, he couldn't concentrate on his baby, TW. That's what I'm trying to say. So he couldn't focus on the business. He couldn't focus on, the day-to-day operations. Again, he had Jerry Jarrett and Bill Watts. No, not Bill Watts. That was 95, 96. But he had Jerry Jarrett in line to take over the operations in case he went to jail. So I was already
taking over for the end of the trial. I watched a video on it today. There was a minute where he was running it, and so there you go. That's another. When WCW in '94 is when they started doing this. Whenever someone tries to do Vince, they are horrible at it, right? Like the imposter Vince McMahon's always fail, and that must be what Jerry Jarrett was doing. He's like, what would Vince do? I know, he had a fucking dentist named Isaac Yankum, And
we'll talk about why Jerry Jarrett was there, because there was a great relationship between Jarrett, Lawler, and Vince McMahon in coincidence, Reflectionites with USWA. But I'll talk about USWA in a second. But since we already talked about WWF, let's focus now on WCW, World Championship Wrestling, Ted Turner's World Championship Wrestling, if you will, Reflectionites. Because again, while WWF was going in the philosophy of the new generation, WCW, with its new executive vice president in charge, Eric Bischoff, said, you know what? We need to become mainstream. We need to become a national organization. We cannot be identifiable as a Southern wrestling territory. What are you building, TW?
Nothing.
What are you opening?
I had to get a loose hand. It fell.
Jesus. It's either a loose hand or you're building a toy. God damn it. But anyway, WCW said, you know what? We can't do the new generation yet because we need TW.
No, I had to fix my phone.
No, that was not a phone. That was the fucking box of Jesus Christ. But anyway, WCW said, we're not doing the new generation. We need to become a national powerhouse. And Eric Bischoff's idea was to take the stars of the 80s that drew money for the WWF. That included the coup of coups by signing Hulk Hogan in 1994 TW. So we have to start there because, again, in 1994, that roster was good with star power. If you was playing a WCW video game, to have the roster that had Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, Cactus Jack, Kevin Sullivan, Big Van Vader, and again, this is not even the pillars. I'm just naming names off the top of my dome. They had a pretty good roster. And Arn Anderson, beautiful Bobby Eaton, and all that shit. But what say you, TW, about 1994? Jake
was there too, right? Wasn't that all that?
No, 92. That was 92.
Oh, wow, that was before 94.
Yeah, that was before that. I knew where you were going.
94 is the worst, the absolute worst vignette of all time is Vader and Sid and Sting and Davey Boy.
93. That was 93.
Again, the payoff was in 94.
You said no. Yeah, it was over in 93. You said I lead and you follow. I'm going to give you logistics.
I thought it was in 94. See?
I know. I'm giving you logistics. In 94, everything starts with Hulk Hogan signing with WCW because Eric Bischoff said, you know what? I need to change WCW's image from Southern wrestling to national powerhouse. So that was a smart business decision for Eric Bischoff. He knew that Hogan was a name and he knew where he wanted to go in the direction. You know, again, it was written by Vince McMahon in the 80s. If you use Hogan, you get, national attention and all that stuff. With logistically, the first pay-per-view, Bash at the Beach 94, with Hogan's debut, if you will, Reflectionites, him against Ric Flair, was let's just say hypothetically, 100% increase in pay-per-view buy rates because of the Hulk Hogan factor. I'm not going to talk about attendance because that was Orlando. That was already Hulk Hogan country. But again, you was curious to see, because back then, Reflectionites, the difference between now TW and back then we were shocked that Hogan would jump to WCW. We thought Hogan was going to be a lifer. Now in 2026, you and I are more hip to the business. We understand the business. If your contract is up or if the competitor wants to pay you more, then you're going to take the money. You're going to feed your family. You're going to pay your bills. You're going to go where the economics suits you. But back then, you're 21 in the business. I'm 17. I'm like, I can't believe Hulk Hogan would go to WCW. I was not like sad that he went to WCW. I was just, holy shit, he actually went to WCW. I thought he was going to come back to WWF, do one of those nostalgic shit. But being 17, I was like, nah, I don't care for that. I was more interested in him in WCW in 1994. I was like, okay, now I get the match with him and Ric Flair on a pay-per-view, even though it wasn't WrestleMania. It was Bash at the Beach. They had to take advantage of it. And Reflectionites, it was a good feud for 1994, but then Hulk Hogan's stupidity got the best of him because I don't know why he thought that him and Brutus Beefcake, a.k.a. The Butcher, he thought would be a better main event for Starrcade when it should have been Hogan and Flair, the trilogy ending. But again, that's neither here nor there. So TW, what say you about, Eric Bischoff?
That right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's why he was not in WWE, because he was probably trying to do that there. Hogan and Beefcake, and maybe Hogan and Beefcake versus Nasty Boys, and all these. Hogan couldn't not be on top. Later on he could, but right then, him signing there, because I guess he made a vow that he would never compete with Vince, and then did, and which is ironic because it's right after the trial ends where he doesn't bury Vince, and maybe part of him felt like Vince owed him and didn't come through, so he's like, I'm out and I'm going there. And plus it was almost perfect because he was doing a show on TBS, that Tropical Thunder or whatever the hell the show was called, Thunder in Paradise.
Thunder in Paradise, yes, you got it right.
Everything just lined up. I personally remember seeing the little parade for him and what it felt like for me. And a few years later, it would feel even more like this and even worse was when I saw Hogan there. First of all, he wasn't the same guy. Felt like he was taller and skinnier because he wasn't jacked up anymore. He was older.
So you talk about 94 Hogan being like 272 pounds.
Yeah,
he's just slimmer.
He just wasn't the same guy that like 84 Hogan's just larger than life, man. Tan. He's not that tan. He looks like an older man. Is what he looks like in 94. And so I mean, you got to realize he's 87. He's 33. So he's pushing 40, 45, 43, whatever he's pushing there. 40. He's 40 because 3 more years will be 43. But he looked 40. He didn't look like Hulk Hogan that you and I were like, yeah, let's get the fucking posters. Let's work out, say our prayers. And so when I saw it, it looked hokey to me. It felt like the fans rushing him on his little car that he was on was all plants, like it was all staged. And then
it was bought and paid for by actors.
But I'm saying it looked like that. And then when you see him, especially WCW Saturday Night, like he looked like a big fish in a small pond, and he just looked like he didn't belong there in a good way for him, bad way for them, right? And I've said this a million times. Their ring is smaller than the WWE ring. A WWE ring is 20 by 20. Their ring is 16 by 16 or smaller. Some say 18 by 18, but I'm pretty sure 16. But like you said, 94 is 2 years after they dropped the ball on Hogan versus Flair at WrestleMania. So you get that. You get to see, oh shit, Hogan's where Sting's at. Hogan's where Flair is. Hogan's where Vader is. Hogan's, this is so the Hogan fatigue in WWE, where you do feel like he was holding the Bretts and the Shawns and the Undertaker's back. Not necessarily Undertaker because he beat him for the world title, but they took it away 2 days later. But I was there, by the way, when Taker won the world title. Now he's over there, and it's the Hogan fatigue's gone because it's all new stuff. But it doesn't take long for it to kick right back in and go, yeah, this is why he's not in WWF anymore, because this is what Hogan does.
Hogan had a good shelf life in WCW 94 Reflectionites, and we can't deny that. From the time at Bash at the Beach to Halloween Havoc, that was good. That was good storytelling between him and Ric Flair and all that shit. But again, by the time Starrcade came, then you was reminded about Hogan fatigue. And again, in 1994 TW, we cannot remember Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat recreated their 89 Magic in Spring Stampede. That was a hell of a match. You had a blood feud. Well, not enough blood, but we had a blood feud, quote unquote, with the Nasty Boys against Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan. Cannot forget that too. Sting and Vader were ending their feud, if you will, but again, we had Johnny B. Bad in 1994. Untapped potential. So TW, any person other than Hogan and Flair stands out for you that you said, oh, we can't forget Stunning Steve Austin against Ricky Steamboat. That was a hell of a match too. So TW, what say you, besides Hogan and Flair, what else stands with TW's memory of nostalgia of 1994 of WCW?
So 94, this is when I started wrestling, is the spring of 94. So I wasn't watching it as much because it was kind of just pushed on you to don't do it. So a lot of times when we're doing shows, I'm finding out stuff that I didn't even know happened. Like, for example, we've reviewed WrestleMania 10 before, and unless I got some kind of Mandela effect going on, I was pretty sure Crush was still wearing the purple and yellow and orange and all them loud colors when he was feuding with Macho Man.
He was wearing dark colors and painted.
He looked like Demolition, but with the Crush gear. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I watched it when he was wrestling Macho Man, like the feud, and I'm like, I swore he wore the damn orange and purple and the horrible looking Crush. But WCW stuff, it was a year later that I went to WCW, and it was Hogan versus
Vader.
I think it was Macho Man versus Flair. Yeah, Hogan versus Vader, because that was in 95. So I wasn't really in tune with the product, but I was always a Stunning Steve guy. And Stunning Steve and Steamboat feuded singles. They feuded with Pillman and Austin versus Dustin and Steamboat, and I think Shane Douglas and Steamboat. But they just Steamboat and Austin. That rivalry has some miles, man. Like,
that's an untapped potential.
Yeah.
That's an untapped potential rivalry.
And I think if you asked Austin, he would say that Steamboat helped make them. Steamboat is still one of the most underrated guys there ever was. I still remember when he lost to Honky Tonk Man, how devastated I was. I'm just shocked, devastated, and then he was just gone. And then shows up in 89 in WCW or 88, late 88, whatever it was. And I just thought, whoa, but 94, I think both WWF and WCW, as much flack as they take. And again, I think 94 is when, and 93 is when WCW was trying their hardest to be 80s WWF, and it just was terrible. Nothing. Like I said, I don't know what fucking year Oz was, but that was horrible shit.
I will tell you, you're a little wrong in your assessment of WCW in 93. 93 wasn't 80s WWF. Bill Watts was still controlling it a little bit. He was trying to make it 70s Southern wrestling. So it's never wanted 80.
I'm saying, if you told me that Sid and Vader versus
one or two vignettes does not mean anything.
Anything Kevin Sullivan did was 80s WWE. Anything Sting did with Jake the Snake or Vader, White Castle of Fear, spin the wheel.
But the one thing that WCW still had over WWF, even though 94 was WWF's, coming out party with the work rate, right. WCW was still known for the gritty matches.
Hold up.
Still known for it.
The greatest match of all the times happened in 1987 in the WWF.
I'm talking about 94. I'm talking about what is going on here. Because
now, if you're saying they put more emphasis on work rate, Fine.
Yeah.
But the 86 versus 92
We're not talking
Intercontinental
86. We're
title
not
scene,
talking about that. We're talking about
but I'm
94.
telling you, there was
And
work rate.
again, and
It might have been the diamonds in the rough and stealing the show, but it
remember,
still happened.
Southern Wrestling had more work rate than WWF. WWF had diamonds in the rough work rates.
But you know,
cannot
Southern
deny
Wrestling didn't have compared to WWF. A couple guys had it.
Showmanship.
Charisma. They had no charisma because you had. God bless him. I think he's awesome. Tracy Smothers.
Okay.
Before he became FBI and came out and had charisma, woo! That's every NWA guy. Woo! That's what they did, and that was their big promo. They all look like Rick Martel AWA promos.
So besides Hogan and Butcher being your favorite match of 1994, any other match that stands out?
No, I definitely late. No, it's late 96 when Luger shows up at Nitro, right?
95.
No, it is 95. So Bash at the Beach is 95.
Bash at the Beach is started in 94.
No. The NWO, the Hogan.
That's 96.
It is 96. Okay, that's what. Yeah. So
Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's right. When Luger first got
see behind my back. See the number.
Listen to me, man. I'm trying to get back. I'm trying to find. I'm trying to figure out. I forgot when Luger came back. Hogan was still Hogan. He wasn't NWO Hogan. But just 94. It's just like I said. I wish I would have watched
your
more.
man Luger in 94 was Mr. USA fucking it up.
He won the Royal Rumble, co-winner of the Royal Rumble, and then they just fucking faded him to black after that.
Because he couldn't draw. That's the thing. And
nobody fucking drew. You can't blame it on Lex.
It's all Lex's fault. But
people came to that damn bus tour. I know because I was there.
And I shit on the fake Undertaker. Guess what I could shit on in WCW in 1994?
All of it.
No. The Guardian Angel, a.k.a. Big Boss Man, because he couldn't use the Big Boss Man. He couldn't even use the boss. So he had to turn himself into the Guardian Angel. And then he just said, fuck it. Let me become the Big Bubba Rogers once again. I'm just trying to say.
And Ray Traylor. He was Ray Traylor for a bit too.
97. That was 97. So with that being said,
think about that, right? So two guys that were arguably at times one of the top 5 most popular guys on the fucking show in their different eras. Brutus Beefcake and Big Bubba, Boss Man. They go back to WCW. And obviously Beefcake didn't know Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were going to light it up with their real names, right? But I bet you both of them in hindsight could have went, why the fuck didn't I just go with Ed Leslie? Why didn't I just, because their time in WCW is so bad, not because of their work, but because it's like fucking Jekyll and Hyde. Both of them have a new name every, and then Repo Man, fucking Blacktop Bully is fucking terrible. Just call him fucking fucking Khrushchev again, whatever. But just, it's crazy to me how a guy can go to WCW who's already been famous and popular, and something as simple as a fucking name will just end their career, or at least end their ever getting past the mid card.
Well, for Brutus Beefcake, Brother Brudai didn't work, and the Butcher didn't work in 94.
Brother Brudai got sued and told him to stop. They couldn't do it.
Right. Yeah. So it is what it is on that. So with that being said, Reflectionites, I'm going to merge something here because just like TW said, if you want to incorporate this, by all means, but you're Mr. Indie Man in 1994.
Right.
So I want to put two things together in certain different parameters. So I'm going to put USWA and ECW together, but for different reasons. Now, like I said minutes ago, Reflectionites, Jerry Jarrett was the plan B in case Vince McMahon went to jail to run the day-to-day operations of WWF. Why was Vince McMahon going to trust Jerry Jarrett with this? Because himself, Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Jarrett had a nice working partnership, if you will, between the WWF and United States Wrestling Association, or the USWA, in Memphis, Tennessee. TW, with yourself being an indie guy in the Ohios and Border City Wrestling, Canada, and all that stuff, USWA was technically the biggest indie promotion still going, because they still had television in Memphis, Tennessee, locally. It was still their ratings getter. go-getter in the mornings and shit like that. They still had great action in that studio. I forget the name, USMC studio in Memphis, Tennessee, and all that stuff. But Jerry Lawler, again, he understood the realities. USWA was never going to overtake WCW, was never going to overtake WWF. So why not adapt? He adapted to say, let me be a pipeline to the other organizations. And of course, from there, you got the Brian Christophers, you got the PG-13s and stuff like that. You got the Jeff Jarrett's going from there to WWF. Flex Cavana and all that stuff. But again, that's 96. But you understand, it's a pipeline. They're kind of like NXT and all that stuff. But of course, Jerry Lawler is the figurehead of Memphis. He's the king of wrestling. But by this time, he's in his 40s himself. So he's holding on because he feels like nobody else can take the torch from him. So TW, what say you about USWA? It's not about what you remember from USWA because again, Jerry Lawler is, he's dominating that USWA title. He loses it one week, regains it the next week. So, like I said, he's a 100-time USWA heavyweight champion. I'm being funny here, Reflectionites, but it's kind of true. But TW, what say you about, at least he's smart enough to understand the realities. Let me be a pipeline for WWF. Give the talent. What say you about USWA?
It's FCW before FCW exists. It's like you said, NXT without the big machine behind it. But just like with ECW a couple years later, I'm sure Vince probably threw money down there to help those guys tread water when, because that is WCW territory, all things considered. It's still USWA. You ain't taking Memphis, but they didn't just wrestle in Memphis. They wrestled in Memphis. They wrestled in Arkansas. They wrestled in probably Texas, parts of that. There was
Kentucky.
Kentucky. There was a little circle that they wrestled in, and the bigger WCW got, the smaller USWA got. And, this is a year after my good man who could have seen the USWA is already in the ground. That would be Kerry Von Erich. But I actually, whenever I see stuff like this, it does two things for me. It makes me feel good on one hand, like, well, I didn't know. I mean, I've always heard Jerry Jarrett's name tied to Vince, and like even the current podcast, the Pritchard one, the Cody one, the Eric Bischoff one, they talk about Jerry Jarrett and Vince McMahon's relationship. It comes up, and I didn't know that because I would have just thought Jerry Jarrett is a USWA guy, and every other promotion, not WWE, hates Vince McMahon. Is how it felt for me in 1994 when I'm wrestling. So to know that dude in 94, when I'm thinking everyone hates WWE and is against them, and like the Stackticon, they all try to join together to beat Vince, until WCW said fuck all y'all too and tried doing the same thing. But NWA, like the stuff with Steamboat and Flair where Funk came in, NWA, even still in the mid to late 80s, they still acknowledged other promotions and brought in people and said, this guy's from here, this guy's from here. And when they became WCW, it seemed like the only thing they ever acknowledged after that was whenever they worked with Japan, whenever they did crossovers with Japanese guys, which I get it. They're trying to do what the WWE did to become the WWE, right? So, but to hear that, but it also makes me go, it's a big fuck you to everyone that says Vince screwed everyone. If he's still friends with Jerry Jarrett, who's the last of the territories, then obviously he's not as evil as everyone says he is. And plus the stuff he did with Paulie, he helped people. He probably would have helped the AWA if all the Hogan bad blood wasn't part of it, the Sheik and all that stuff. But it's cool. It's crazy because I wouldn't pick the guy running USWA to take over WWE because that's what he was. What you're saying is right. If he went to prison, Jarrett was going to run everything from that point on. But while he was in trial, Jarrett was the book. He booked everything because Vince couldn't focus on wrestling. He's focusing on staying out of jail. And so but Jerry Jarrett there, and now it makes a lot more sense because that was the other thing that's just like, damn, dude, Lawler seemed to always be there, but not really there. Like, for all the commentating he did on Raw, you'd still see in the magazines that he's wrestling in Memphis, and you're like, why isn't he wrestling there? You know,
94, he wasn't on Raw commentary yet. He was on Superstars on the weekend.
But that's what I mean. He was always there somehow.
I'm just giving you the logistics.
With Brett. He's feuding with Brett and stuff like that. But he still wrestled in USWA and did all that. And that was foreign to me because you didn't see WWE guys wrestling anywhere else. You know what I mean? They just wrestled.
If you had Memphis Television, you saw your WWF guys wrestling in USWA.
But that's what I'm saying. I didn't know that because I didn't have that. You know, I might have saw some shit in the magazine where like the Unabomber and Al Snow would go down there, or that, you know, just some guys that were WWE-ish would go down there. But you didn't see, which I think you did. I think Sean or Brett went down.
I think in 1994, Reflectionites, don't quote me on this, Mabel, before he became King Mabel in 95, was a USWA champion. Sid Vicious was a USWA champion. So just give you that examples of WWF talent coming down.
He went to win real world titles too. So
what? Say what?
Luckily, Sid went on to win real world titles as well, not just.
That's the unified championship from the AWA legacy, as you told me. So that's the world title. So
It's not a world title.
So
AWA is the world title. When it merged with WCW, that means it fell off of world title status, WCCW.
So now, let me parlay this to ECW in a different sense, because Paul E. Dangerously hated WCW. Paul E. Dangerously said, fuck you to WCW. But now, it wasn't like Paul E. can go to the WWE just yet, TW. He needed to have a footprint in the wrestling industry. So, you know, it was the right time and the right place when Eddie Gilbert, God rest his soul, was running the book in Eastern Championship Wrestling in South Philadelphia, born and raised.
He better be in that thumbnail.
So he, oh boy, that's Colin. Colin, that's your job. But anyway, neither here nor there. But that's an inside joke. But Paul Lee thought this was a great opportunity to come into this situation, TW. Learn from Eddie Gilbert, learn how to, you know, run behind the scenes stuff more. Because again, he has a great mind for the business, but it wasn't honed and crafted just yet. Because he honed it and crafted for his character of Paul E. Dangerously. But Paul Heyman was still a student of the game. So he still had to learn from the best. Eddie Gilbert had a mind for the business, not only in the ring, but behind the scenes. But because of his demons, Paul Heyman got an opportunity to run Eastern Championship Wrestling, and Paul Heyman's first edict was fuck the. Well, I don't want to say fuck the Indies, TW, because that's a disrespect even to you and your career and all that shit like that.
Fuck the NWA.
Fuck the NWA too, but he said fuck the independents. I want to make this a national platform. I want to give wrestlers another viable option. If you don't like WWF, and if you don't like WCW and what they do and those bookers and those promoters, and you want an opportunity, I gotta give Eastern Championship Wrestling a new name and a new vision. And Eastern was dead, Reflectionites, and Extreme was born. Extreme Championship Wrestling was actually born on August 27th, 1994, TW, just to give you the logistics, when Shane Douglas won the NWA World Heavyweight Title Tournament, dropped the belt down on the ground, said fuck that belt, raised the Eastern Championship Wrestling Heavyweight title, and bequeathed it the Extreme World Heavyweight Championship. That changed the whole game, because I don't think because like I said, USWA was one of the biggest territories left. But even in 1994, there was these little, I don't want to call it rinky-dink independents. You was wrestling in an independence. So independence was still around, hot dog and a handshake, shit like that. But he was like saying, I got to get away from that stigma of the independents. I got to make a name for herself. And the wrestling world, whether it was Vince McMahon, whether it was Eric Bischoff, the people behind the scenes said, what's going on in South Philadelphia, born and raised? Once Shane Douglas did that, because Shane Douglas worked for WCW. You just talked about it. He was teaming with Ricky Steamboat. He was a former NWA World Tag Team Champion with Ricky Steamboat. Shane Douglas was in WWE in 1990. So they know who he is. They wanted to see what the hell he was doing in South Philadelphia, born and raised. So TW, what say you about that? And I'll give you some memories from 1994 ECW times.
So the good thing about it, and so when you do indie shows, there's either 0 names or there's 1 or 2 in the main event, right? sometimes the main event is a name versus our champion, or it's two names. Like Al Snow was on his way to ACW in '94, but he was the heavyweight champion of Midwest Territorial Wrestling, and he defended the title against Marty Jannetty for 3 months. Well, they traded it back and forth. And then Al was tag team champions with Ray the Crippler Roberts, got signed with ECW, left, and then that's how I won the titles in the tournament in '95, because that's when he went there. But when ECW started, first Shane Douglas. Second of all, you already had Don Morocco and Tito Santana, and there's a couple other names that were there.
Snuka was there.
Who? Snuka was there. So you got that's what you need. You first of all need names, but you need more than one. You need it to feel like it's, oh wow, dude, I've seen all these. Like, think about it. Everyone we just named was a Intercontinental Champion in the WWF, except for was Snuka Intercontinental Champion?
No,
he never won a belt there, right?
No, he did.
But Morocco had it. Tito had it. Shane Douglas had it. Not yet, but he eventually has it. But you have these people, first of all, that people recognize. And Eastern Championship Wrestling Philadelphia, those people, specifically Tito, Snuka, Murdoch, there's gonna be old school WWF guys. Like, hey, I fucking remember these guys. They're wrestling down the street. Let's go check it out. And so once you get them in there, and then you got guys on the undercard who can then steal the show, you know, the young, you know, Shane Douglas is probably still new to some of these people, but Shane Douglas, Tommy Dreamer, Sabu, RVD, all these guys just steal the show. That's my one regret, is I never even gave a sniff of ECW because I thought it was all thumbtacks, barbed wire, and balcony dives. And I'm like, nope. But if I would have known it was more that and that, I would have we probably wouldn't be doing this podcast together right now, because I probably would have done something in the business, because me and Rico were fired. Like, literally. You
realize, again, logistically, you realize how much of a footprint Paul Heyman did, because the wrestling...
Dude, I was on shows with him all the time.
The wrestling people that were behind the scenes that were important understood what was going on in this in the bingo hall.
The Buzz.
Shane Douglas, the Buzz. Shane Douglas, Terry Funk, Sabu. The second triple threat in history, because we can't forget that Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And we'll talk about, Josh, I know you'll probably comment in my video. You didn't talk about Smoky Mountain. We'll talk about Smoky Mountain in a second.
I said Unabomber.
I know you did. I'm just saying, but Josh will try to remind me, what about Smoky Mountain? They had some history too, but we'll give you in a second. But neither here nor there. But they had the second triple threat, and this was a bigger triple threat. I'm sorry to say that, Josh. Sabu, Terry Funk, and Shane Douglas tore the house down. It was a 60-minute triple threat draw, TW, that put them on the map in February of 1995. A three-way draw. Nobody won. And they got a standing ovation. And if this was 2026, Dave Meltzer would have gave it 8 stars, but I think he gave it 4.5 stars.
By the way, you didn't bring up Dave Meltzer then. The very first match in WWF history, probably the only one, that ever got 5 stars from that man, Dave Meltzer, was...
The ladder match?
The ladder match.
Yeah. But I'm just giving you the logistics. That, again, that triple threat, again, put them on the map and stuff like that. The night Shane Douglas and Terry Funk was the MVP of ECW in 1994. Even though he was going back and forth between there and WCW, TW, Terry Funk, again, everybody's talked about how gracious he was. He said, I needed to get the next generation going. So he knew that the next generation was Shane
And he had
Douglas.
fucking fun. It was written all over his face, man.
And
it made him young.
And because it was extreme, TW, we got the Sandman, the real Sandman stood up. Not the Surfer Sandman. We got the drunken cigarette smoking
Fake
Sandman.
Stone Cold Sandman. Yeah, we got him.
Yeah, and again, the Singapore Cane and shit with Tommy Dreamer. So I just wanted to give you some logistics and memories like that, because, and can't forget Too Cold Scorpio. Ron Simmons got a rebirth in ECW and shit like that. Brian Pillman, Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton came down to ECW
for 5 minutes.
Well, that was 95. But again,
I'm saying he got ECW help.
I'm just trying to keep it within the year. But
listen, 94 is the birth of ECW, so we got to talk about it. It was a good thing.
I'm just saying.
It lasted till like 96. That's fine. That's fine. It was a good
But
2 years.
let me ask you this question, because like you said, you started in '94 doing your thing. Like I said, Border City Wrestling, Ohio, Michigan, and all that stuff. It's not about asking you, why didn't you go to USW or ECW and shit like that? But like I said, Paul Heyman had a vision. He wanted to get this. I don't want to call it a stigma of that name independent out of ECW. He wanted it to be a national platform. So TW, if let's just say Border City Wrestling, who was running Border City Wrestling? Scott D'Amore was running Border City Wrestling?
Yeah, it's always been Scott.
If Scott D'Amore said in 1994, 1995, I want to make Border City Wrestling a Canadian powerhouse, get Canadian television, a national powerhouse for Canada, all that stuff. TW, would you be on board with it? Would you trust 100%. Scott D'Amore with that vision? Would you believe 100%. In him? Would you not want to be booked anywhere else?
Right now with MLP, and I go over there and support that. So yeah, absolutely.
No, since the people that were in the ECW locker rooms, like I said, Tommy Dreamer, 911, Shane Douglas, they believed that Paul Heyman had a vision. Like I said, as the wrestler, how would you feel with Scott D'Amore saying, "Let me take Border City Wrestling to the next level again," as a wrestler?
So the problem is, if you could take Scott D'Amore 2026 and you time travel him back to 94, he would have done it. The problem is in 1994, Scott is trying to take Scott D'Amore to a TV show run by WWF or WCW. They did WCW jobs all the time, and they did WWF jobs all the time. He purposely didn't take me in the beginning because he was like, you're green, they'll fucking destroy you down there. And then a little bit later on, he would ask me, and I'm like, I don't want to do that, because I always knew I was little. So 1, 2, 3 kid, God bless him, that dude, a diamond in the rough. And then the Hardys, but the Hardys came after me, and there was 2 of them. So maybe me and Rico as a team, we might have got some traction if we went and did jobs. But you run the risk of, if you wear your gear and you just get fucking destroyed in a WWF Saturday morning show, then you come back to Detroit and people don't like you no more. You know what I mean? So it's the whole protecting your brand before that was even a saying. And the thing about Paul Lee, all the shows I did with him were 94 and into 95 before we became Los Rudos, because once ECW blew up, Paul wasn't around as much. Taz would be there, Sabu would be there, Pee Wee, the referee, not Pee Wee Anderson, Pee Wee, the one that traveled with Sabu.
Brian Hildebrand?
No. If you watch ECW enough, besides Bill Alfonso, there's a referee named Pee Wee.
Pee Wee Reese. Yeah, that was the ECW.
So that guy traveled with Sabu all the time. He actually got ribbed by Kevin Nash, and one of those guys did something where they shit on something of his. But I liked him, but I didn't like him. I think in hindsight, he's probably a lot more like me than I realized, and he just had a little bit more clout when I first started out. But he's the one that said, "Too hot, Tommy Wonder. How would you like to be too bald, Tommy Wonder?" Because he wanted Sabu to cut my hair, and I go, "No." But those guys saw Los Rudos, but Sabu and Taz weren't there scouting. If Paul Lee would have saw Los Rudos, I think at the very least he would have brought us in to fight Public Enemy, who I'm not sure what year they started, but mine and Rico's look would have been absolutely a shoo-in for ECW. Whether or not we lasted there because we got fucking murdered because we were 200 pounds, I don't know. But
your look actually, honestly, would be PG-13. But I understand where the Public Enemy comparison comes into it.
No. I'm saying he would have had us.
No, because of your athleticism as Los Rudos was in comparison to PG-13 in USWA.
People thought they called us PG-13. People used to ask us, why don't you call Memphis and book a match for PG-13? But they were already doing the Nation of Nomination shit by the time Los Rudos. I'm just saying, but but I'm not saying we're like Public Enemy, because that would get us not booked. I'm saying he would have saw potential in Public Enema versus Los Rudos is what I mean. We would have got murdered by the Pitbulls. I watched their shit. They fucking just and I don't think they murdered them on purpose. They were just fucking green and stiff. Like they just looked like they fucking killed everyone.
I just wanted to get your outlook as the wrestler, because again, Paul Heyman understood what he wanted out of this. He wanted to get out of it. What you're
basically saying is these guys took their lumps with Paul because they saw the big picture. So, like for Scott, would I stick around when the checks were bouncing? Would I settle for the hot dog and the handshake? Absolutely, because Scott is very, very loyal to the people that are loyal to him.
Mhm.
And I've known that forever. You know what I mean? Like, I just actually texted him a couple weeks ago and he didn't respond. So last week I texted him and I forget what I said and he responded right away. So he gets busy, right? The guy's running. MOP just did a joint show with Ring of Honor. And
he's got to work on his TV deal because that's already coming up soon in about a month.
It's the Can-Am, or the Canada version of ESPN. They're going to be on TSN, yeah. So I'm actually going to go there this month or next month. Next month, there's a double shot. This month, there's a single shot. It's a smaller show, but I'm going to try to get over it. I told Jeff I'd come over once the weather got better. And then I froze my ass off today. It's still only 54 degrees.
And Josh, I won't forget about Smoky Mountain, so I'll just give you a little bit of because I want to, we're running a little bit overtime, Josh. So with that being said, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, we can't forget that, TW. This was Jim Cornette's baby. And, he's still
Thrill Seekers.
Well, the Thrill Seekers. We can't forget them. Chris Jericho and Lance Storm. We're not, again, Rock and Roll Express and the Heavenly Bodies was a great war in Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Buddy Landale.
We can't forget Tracy Smothers, the king of the South. He wore the Confederate flag on his ass. Being the U.S. heavyweight champion, going up against up and comer Chris Candido and shit like that, and of course the dirty white boy who became T.L. Hopper. I don't know why he agreed to that, but I guess the money was there.
Because he's making more than the fucking Smoky Mountain money, I can tell you that.
I'm just saying, I'm just giving the logistic. He had blood feuds with prime time Brian Lee. So again, there's always a connection between these smaller organizations, TW, and of course being the pipeline to either WCW or WWF. So I just want to give all that stuff for Josh. I'm not forgetting about Smoky Mountain Wrestling. So with that being said, TW,
D'Lo went there too. That's the first place D'Lo went.
And I can't forget. And not only because of the Rock and Roll, their tag team division was stacked. The Rock and Roll, Heavenly Bodies, but we cannot forget the Gangsters. New Jack and Mustafa started in Smoky, not in ECW, TW. So, Jim Cornette said, the mic is yours, New Jack. Say whatever the fuck you want to say. Get heat. And the best line ever, OJ, you took out too for us. Thank you. Made the South hate him and try to kill him. It was beautiful, TW. Even for white Southern wrestling fans who know that this shit is predetermined, got triggered by what New Jack said, TW. What say you about that?
And the WWE is making an action figure of that motherfucker this year.
Again, wrestling, you talk about, blurring the lines and, having that realism, escaping from reality. New Jack did not escape from reality. He went at you with the reality. That's what I was talking about. Again, either you like it or you don't. Were
they called the Thugs? Is that what they were called in Smoky
No,
Mountain?
the Gangsters. They were the Gangsters.
Was there a team called the Thugs?
Probably in the Indies, but I don't remember who that was.
I'm trying to figure out, because I thought D'Lo went there as part of a tag team, but I don't think he was with New Jack.
He was.
He was with all three of them. Okay.
Yeah.
He just didn't go to ECW with them.
No, he didn't.
Okay. So, I knew D'Lo was with some kind of group, but I thought they were called the Thugs.
No, it was the Gangsters, but he was part of the that group, if you will, TW.
Yeah.
So with that being said, before we run out of time, Reflectionites, I do what I do best, TW. We got to go back and talk about the 1994 PWI Awards because some winners I remembered, some winners I forgot. So, TW, do you want to hear the winners from 1994?
Yep. Match of the year, Razor versus Shawn or Brett versus Owen.
No, let me just go like one by one and I'll get to that. So, with that being said, I'll do this quickly. 1994 Rookie of the Year. What jumps out to you? Any name you could think
94 Rookie of the Year, Tatanka.
No, he was actually wrestling in 91 and 92.
Oh, wow.
1994 Rookie of the Year it was actually from ECW. 911 became the Rookie of the Year. And first runner-up is funny enough, TW. I just want to name this.
Mikey Whipwreck.
Out there. No, he was actually third. First runner-up is Sparkplug Bob Holly.
Wow.
So let me go on with the next award, the 1994 Inspirational Wrestler of the Year. Who do you think?
Charles Austin.
Nope. Bret the Hitman Hart.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what made him. I don't know what made him
Oh, because
inspirational in 19.
he had to fight his brother when he didn't want to. He had to give his brother a chance.
How is that inspirational? That don't make no fucking sense.
Because he didn't want to fight his little brother, but he knew he was holding his little brother back, so he had to give him a shot.
That's got nothing to do with inspiration. That's just
he had to put away his personal love for his brother to defend his title and defend his honor.
You are such a fucking homer for WWF. But anyway,
motherfucker, they didn't give him the award. Pro Wrestling Illustrated did. I'm telling you why they did.
I know. That's why you're being a homer for that reason, because it makes no sense. But anyway, 1994 most improved. That's what I am. But anyway, 1994 TW most improved wrestler of the year.
Tito Hopper. Man, that's tough, dude.
I'll give you a hint. WWF won it.
Oh.
He was actually third. He was actually third runner-up.
Diesel.
You got it. 1994 most improved wrestler of the year.
Fuck yeah! If you're starting at fucking Oz.
1994 comeback wrestler of the year.
Bob Backlund, hands down.
Nope, he was actually the first. He was the first runner-up. We just talked about him in the beginning.
Terry Funk.
No, Hulk Hogan.
Come back. Fuck that guy.
You almost forget. You forget your history too much. But anyway, 1994 manager of the year.
Let's see.
I'll give you a hint. I just named the comeback wrestler of the year, so you should say
Jimmy Hart.
There you go.
He's like one of the only ones left.
Managers were not a dime a dozen.
I was going to say Paul E. is what I was going to say, but I don't know if he was managing yet.
He was managing in ECW, but 1994 feud of the year.
Bret vs. Owen.
There you go. You got it right. Hogan and Flair was actually first runner-up. 1994 most popular wrestler of the year, TW.
Bret Hart.
First runner-up. It was actually Sting.
I like it. I'm here for it.
He actually won it by a landslide because of the numbers really skewed it. Let's see where we got. Most hated wrestler of the year in 1994.
Oh, shit, man. Owen.
First runner-up, actually. It was actually Bob Backlund.
Wow.
What he did in Survivor Series 1994 made you hate him a lot. Right. What he did with that chicken wing made you hate him a lot.
He fucked people up with that chicken wing. That was I think he'd be a fucking face if he did it this year.
Well, you named the 1994 match of the year, so you already know it's Shawn and Razor ladder match, WrestleMania 10. So, what would you think was the first runner-up of the match of the year?
Bret vs. Owen.
No, actually, that never even made the list.
Hogan vs. Flair.
That was actually second runner-up. The first runner-up is, funny enough, the Nasty Boys versus Cactus Jack and Max Payne.
They said that match stole the show on Starrcade?
Spring Stampede.
Okay. It was like Falls Count Anywhere, bunkhouse rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They said that was a good match.
1994 Tag Team of the Year, TW.
Nasty Boys.
Correct.
Were there any other teams?
Not really. And we're at the Peace Day Resistance 1994 Wrestler of the Year.
Bret.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
He was actually first runner-up. The 1994 Wrestler of the Year was Hulk Hogan.
Fuck that.
They opened Starrcade with him holding the award for Wrestler of the Year. You forgot about that?
Well, you just told me he wrestled Beefcake at Starrcade, so yeah.
Oh, Jesus. But that was the 1994 PWI Awards. So before we close out, TW, do you want to give out the music, the hip-hop, the pop?
It's not just the music. It's the music and the movies. Don't forget that. I do the movies.
Oh, boy.
But it's just so funny because after I read this top 10 list, and I'm going to let you take some guesses at. First of all, it is the year of this band who many people called the next ABBA, which I think proved to be not true because I'm pretty sure they were a one album hit wonder. Maybe the second album had a hit. But it's going to make sense that 1994 was the year you came out of the closet when you hear all these songs. It's going to make sense. So what do you got? What do you think? Number, just, you're not going to guess the number because it's just so fucking all over the place. But what songs do you think were on the top 10 in 1994? This is
Was it-
pop, like everything.
pop?
Hot 100, like all genres.
There's got to be a Whitney Houston song in 94.
As I scroll, nope, but there's a couple. There's a white and a mixed understudy of Whitney Houston, both on the list.
Mariah Carey?
Yep, Hero, number 5. Great fucking song, great album too. Music Box, big fan of that one. And who's the other one? Who's the white Whitney? This is her first. This is her kicking down the door before she set records by having 2 albums go number 1 because of one song.
I'm stuck. Who? Oh, Celine Dion?
Yep, The Power of Love. That's a remake of Laura Branigan's "Cause I'm Your Lady." That's her. That's number 4.
Oh, nice.
That's funny. So let me just give you the bottom 5 because you're not going to guess these apparently. Number 10, "Don't Turn Around Cause You're Gonna See My Heart Breaking." Ace of Base.
Oh, that was a good song.
Number 9, "All That She Wants Is Another Baby."
Oh, that's a good
Ace
song
of
too.
Base. Number 9. Number 8, the motion picture movie, The Three Musketeers. 3 of rock royalty singers. 2 of them are solo artists. 1 of them is from a famous band. "All for Love" by Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, and Sting. When Bryan Adams was just running away with heavyweight champion of soundtracks in the 90s. Because you name a movie, that dude had a hit song in it. So that's number 8. Number 7, I guess she could also be, I would say she's probably a Mariah Carey underling, not a Whitney Houston one. This isn't the song, but she has a huge song, 1992's "Boomerang." "Love Should Have Brought Your Ass Home Last Night."
Tony Braxton.
"Breathe Again" by Tony Braxton. And number 6, a lot of people don't know this stat. This girl had a number 1 song without having a record deal. And because of this song, she was courted by all record labels, signed a huge record label deal, never had another hit. It's from the single soundtrack. Lisa Loeb and the 9 Stories, "Stay, I Missed You." You say.
That's the chick with the glasses, right?
Yes. She had no record deal. A friend slipped this song on the soundtrack to singles, and bam, blew up. She gets a record deal, never has another hit. Number 5, "Hero," Mariah Carey. Number 4, "Power of Love" by Celine Dion. And number 3, they took, first it was New Edition. They handed the baton to New Kids on the Block, and then New Kids on the Block handed the baton to who?
Nirvana?
Does Nirvana sound anything like New Kids or New Edition?
There's no
You're in the
instinct
wrong
didn't have
genre. You're in the wrong genre.
I thought that's the mantle.
No.
Everybody wanted to dress like
The original
grunge.
boy band is the Jackson 5, and then it's New Edition, and then it's New Kids on the Block. And who was the next big boy band after New Kids on the Block?
Boyz II Men.
Yes, "I'll Make Love to You." Second album, Boyz II Men 2.
I don't want you to make love to me. No.
Now 2. Number 2. This is bullshit. This shitty ass. This is why people don't like boy bands. Bands like this. Both of their hits were covers of country songs by John Michael Montgomery. That's what makes it even worse. They stole both songs from the same country singer who had number 1s in country, and then they had number 1s on pop. And they fucking disappeared right after this bullshit, never to be seen or talked about until right here, right now.
Color Me Bad.
Swear, fuck off, man. That's a great band. What are you talking about? I Swear by All for One. I Swear and I Can Love You Like That. Both number 1 country songs by John Michael Montgomery. But if you write your own shit, that doesn't happen to you. The guy that wrote it from John Michael, let this motherfucker sing it too, and there's nothing you can do about it. And number 1.
Michael Jackson.
Was he even alive in 94?
Yeah, of course.
I started this off by saying the next ABBA, the year of this band. I wouldn't say that if they were number 10 and 9 only. They were also the number 1 song of the year.
Ace of Base had the number 1 song in 94?
The Sign. I saw the sign. It opened up my heart. I saw the sign.
Harvey Weinstein must have like had some blackmail shit with that record company to have Ace of Base.
Ace of Base was huge in 94. I worked at Kmart, and the people that handled music in the electronics department, they would always come up to me and go, "Hey, what genre is this?" So they knew where to put it. and they came up to me with Ace of Base and were like, "Hey, what genre is this?" I go, "I don't even know what the fuck that is." And then next you know, biggest band in the world.
Ace of Base is proof positive reflection. It's like today's YouTube. If you can control the algorithm, you can control the year. They control that year.
Let me give you a little homework assignment. Okay. I'm gonna guess that you've never watched this movie, but I would hope that you've heard of it. And if you haven't heard of it, then you definitely got to watch it without any knowledge of what this movie's about. You just have to watch it. It is
from 94.
No, recent, like the last 10 years. But ABBA and Ace of Base are from Sweden. They're from Sweden, right? There is a movie on Netflix. It stars our good man Will Ferrell and my favorite actress Rachel McAdams, and it's called Eurovision, and it's basically Sweden's American Idol, but it's huge. It's like a big deal over there, which I think Ace of Base started. Not Ace of Base, ABBA started. Please watch Eurovision and then tell me what you think about it. If you don't like it, dude, Pierce Brosnan's in it. Dude, it's such a great movie.
It's on the app. I can, my movie app. I can download it.
Oh, absolutely. Eurovision, and it's got something else after it. But it's Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams, Eurovision. You're gonna want to turn it off 5-10 minutes in. Just persevere. Watch the whole movie. I'm telling you, if you like Will Ferrell at all, you will love this movie. And then Rachel McAdams she's like 44. What the fuck? Slow down.
You said Will Ferrell. You sold me on that. So with that being said,
Eurovision, please watch it, dude. It's I've watched it 100 times. It's so bad, it's awesome. But it's not bad. It's just you have to.
It's a good band. It's a good band.
And I'm gonna just read the top 10 movies because we've done a lot with this music. So I'll give you some honorable. Oh, I saw this movie with Mickey Doyle. So there's a top 10 for the year. You think the number one movie of 1994 was, and it's funny because I would have picked this movie, but go ahead. What do you think the number one movie of 1994 was?
1994. Shit.
It's a great year for movies, man.
It's not Terminator. Shit. It's not Terminator.
Nope.
It's not a Stallone movie.
Nope.
It's not
even the honorable mentions are good.
Is it Speed?
That's number 5.
Okay, I kind of knew that came out.
You're gonna hate yourself when I tell you what number 1 and 2 are, because you were like, number 2 should have popped in your head immediately.
I'm thinking, is it an action movie?
Not the first one. The second one, kind of.
The first one's not an action. It's a drama.
Very fucking one of the greatest movies of all time.
Oh wait, 94. Forrest Gump, number 1 movie.
That's number 3.
Number 3. What the fuck?
That took me 3 days to watch that motherfucker. Dude, when I tell you the top 2, you're gonna be like, okay, acceptable.
Give me. I give up.
Honorable mention. Also, probably why you came out in 1994. Legends of the Fall. Brad Pitt with the long blonde hair. You probably love that one.
No, I never saw it.
Ed Wood. Very, very underrated movie. Awesome movie. True story. One of Johnny Depp's best movies ever. I promise you, if you watch Ed Wood, you'll love it. I would love to know JB's thoughts on that. 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Leon, the Professional, which is what everyone calls me when I got a beanie on. And The Mask, which I did not like. It's got moments.
Oh, Jim Carrey's Mask is number 1?
No. That's 5 honorable mentions. These guys didn't even make the top 10.
Jesus Christ.
Coming in at number 10. Natural Born Killers.
Good movie.
Number 9. I did like this movie. Dumb and Dumber. Number 8. Also possibly helped you come out of the closet in 94. Interview with a Vampire. Brad's got the same long blonde hair. And Tom Cruise has some long hair. And there's a half-naked black dude in there all jacked up. I know you like that too. Number 7.
You're the one that came out of the closet. You had the hair. Then you lost it because you're trying to cover up.
No.
From your
got my hair. This is right around here is when I start cutting it. 95. Number 7, one of the greatest movies of all times, Clerks. Number 6, this has to be based on ticket sales because there's no way people think this is a great movie. True Lies. I would say the same for Speed at number 5. Number 4, this top 4, you can't fuck with it. You can't fuck with it. Number 4.
Lion King.
Lion King, right?
Okay.
Number 3, Forrest Gump. Took me 3 days to watch that shit. Number 2, which would have been my number 1, brought everybody's favorite 70s star back to limelight, made him a star again. He's been a star ever since. John Travolta, Pulp Fiction. And number 1, arguably one of the greatest movies. Some people might even call this the greatest movie of all time. And the fact that you didn't get it, I'm starting to wonder about your clout. I think JB would have got it. Morgan Freeman and that white dude married to Susan Sarandon. Shawshank Redemption.
Is this based on ticket sales?
This just in top 10 rated movies of the year.
Because Forrest Gump and Lion King had to make more money than Shawshank Redemption.
It says, if you mean the biggest and most acclaimed movies released in 94, this is the year many people consider one of the greatest movie years ever. A commonly accepted top 10 would include. So this is just what they're saying with the top.
Okay. I swear, Lion King or Forrest Gump had to make more money. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Okay. So now the list. Oh wow, there's some big movies. Wait a minute. Top 10 highest grossing movies worldwide released in 94. Lion King 979, Forrest Gump 678.
There you go.
Lies, Santa Claus 190, but then the next movie down is Flintstones at 358.
There you go.
And then after that, Dumb and Dumber 247, Speed 350, Mask 352, Four Weddings 245, Clear and Present Danger 216. Shawshank is now legendary, but it was not a big box office hit in 94.
There you go. I feel redeemed for Lion King and Forrest Gump.
94, they re-released Pulp Fiction because it had come out, got a buzz, and then they re-released it, and then it made money, which might have been 95. It was a major success critically and commercially, but didn't crack the absolute top worldwide grosses. Lion King dominated. But this ChatGPT was saying the best movies, like the movies that were like, if critically acclaimed. Ask people are going to tell you Shawshank is number 1 more than they'll tell you the other ones are.
That's the Dave Meltzer list, but I got the money part, so I was right. So with that being said,
the music was the year-end top 10.
So with that being said, we close on the year of 1994, even though TW gave you 1987, 1989, 96, 95, 93, and all that stuff. I kept it with 1994. We close on the year of pro wrestling in 1994. What are we going to do next week, Reflectionites? Well, you know what? We got to change history, TW. And I feel like we should change wrestling for the better. So with that being said, we're going to change something that this is a great what if. So we're going to talk about it business-wise, and we're going to try to just book it off the cuff because we can never, we don't even know if it would make money or if it would change the game. But in TNA lore, TW, there was a saying, there was this myth that Paul Heyman was going to, run creative, but he kind of said no because he did not want to have Dixie Carter involved with him. He wanted 100% control, but Daddy Warbucks of Panda Energy said Dixie Carter had got to be involved somehow, some way, so Paul Heyman refused to run the book.
What year?
It was around 2010.
Wow.
Around 2009, 2010. So with that being said, the flip side happened with Hogan and Bischoff coming into lore.
And then we got the Wise Man after that.
Right. So we didn't have the Wise Man. So we're going to change history, TW. What if Paul Heyman had the creative book in the 2010s? Not 2010, just the 2010s. So remember the TNA lore? 10 to 20. Remember your TNA lore. Remember the Eric Youngs. Remember the Motor City Machine Guns. Remember Generation Me with the Young Bucks. Remember Bobby Roode and James Storm, and see if we can make money with the Paul Heyman vision. So with that being said, we're gonna change history, hopefully for the better. So we're gonna do that what if. It's gonna be a challenging what if because again, we'll see where we go with this. You ready for that?
Ready.
Go ahead. So TW, with that being said, give out those socials so we can finally get out of here.
All righty. The Pro Wrestling Coalition Network sponsors us at PWC Network at podbean.com. Also, you can find Hameen Media Group at podbean.com. Our show's on X at PW Reflection. I talked about JB today, so maybe you guys hit him up with something on Twitter at the P1JB and ask him what he thinks the best movie of 1994 was. And you can find Big Ray Hernandez bragging about his 30 pounds weight loss in 3 weeks, unless he put the wrong year for April, But you can find him on all social media platforms at Big Ray Hernandez, and every Wednesday live doing the Next Level NXT recap on the YouTube. You can find me on Instagram and X at Tommy119, Snapchat's Number Wonder, Facebook.com/Tommy Wonder, and my other Instagram and TikTok is at the Tommy Wonder. And Big Vito and Noel can be found at Big Vito Brand on TikTok. You don't stop.
And you can follow me on my Twitter at PWSOPRF. That's PWSOPRF. Follow me on the Blue Sky at PWSOPRF.bsky.social. And again, tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got 169 subscribers. Let's get it up to 170 in 2 weeks' time. So youtube.com/@Pro Wrasslin Reflection. Again, what if next week, what if Paul Heyman controlled the books creatively for TNA Wrestling in the 2010s? So with that being said, I'm the professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, the solo idiot, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. Tommy Wonder saying good night, and we'll see you next time here at the PWR podcast at the Hameen Media Group at PowerBean.com. And with a somber note, TW, let's send our thoughts and prayers to Ben Hameen. He has been diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. So we're wishing you, we're praying for speedy recovery, and hopefully everything will be, keep your thoughts and prayers to Ben Hameen. With that being said, so I'm the professor.
Stage 4 in 2026 is not stage 4 in 1996. So there's always hope.
There's always hope. So get better, Ben, and like your man Jeff, get better, Jeff. Yeah. Send our loves and prayers to
and rest in peace, Ted Turner.
And fuck cancer. See you later,
Twice.
Reflectionites.